Okay, hello. How is your Wednesday going? Mine's just getting started, really. I had some lunch, and that's about it. I have been oversleeping a lot lately. Probably because I'm used to staying up till 4 in the morning and then sleeping very in. I'm trying to reverse that, and so I end up sleeping from 10 to 12, and then from 2:30 to 4:30 when the dog has to pee again, and then from 5 to 7ish when the dog has to pee again, and then oversleep till 10 or 11 o'clock. So, what can you do? What can you do? The life of a coder. It's quieter at night. In any case, it's Wednesday, so that means I'm going to be working on CoreLMS for the majority of the stream, probably. It depends on how long this new thing takes, and that is Codewars. So Codewars has been around forever. Well, for several years. I was aware of it. I just never looked at it. And then I started seeing some other streamers doing it, or at least an other streamer doing it, and got to playing with it and realized how weak my C# is in some areas, and decided to self-flagellate and sounds horrible. Decided to give it a shot on stream. So I figured it might be something fun, kind of as a warm-up for the day, just to get the C# chops working, and then get into the real stuff. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do. Say hello if you pop into the chat. Let me know who you are, and if you happen to watch while I'm doing the Codewars part, don't give me the answers, just in case. I feel like I'm pretty solid on most of the logic stuff. There's definitely some stuff I have to think about, but it's not so much the logic that I want to build up on, it's the syntax in C# that I use every single day. So yeah, let's pop over and we'll see what's going on. Okay, so this is Codewars if you've never seen it. Or at least this is my dashboard on Codewars. Yeah, it's super fun. Basically, you get a problem. So in this case, the next one that we're going to attempt is detecting a pangram. So a sentence that contains every single letter of the alphabet. So given a string, we check to see if every letter of the alphabet is included in that string, and it runs against a set of unit tests as samples. And then once we think we're done with our work, we submit it, and it runs against more unit tests to catch any edge cases that we might not have thought about. And if we get it right, we get honor. We earn honor, and we can move on to the next kata. So every problem is called a kata. There are tons and tons and tons of them. Hello, Deflux. How are you? Just getting started here. I'm about to play around with some Codewars and C# stuff. So yeah, welcome. Appreciate you being here. Also trying 1 o'clock my time as a stream start time. That was the other big thing for today. Just trying to still get a bead on what's the right time to do this. I know I'm better later in the afternoon. And it seems like more people tend to pop in later in the afternoon for me as well. So, yeah. Yeah, so, like I said, Codewars is awesome. It gives you a series of katas you can work through. They're just problems of increasing difficulty. And some of them get extremely difficult from what I've seen, but I'm not going to get into those today because I only tolerate so much pain at a given time. But, okay, so let's jump into this one, and we'll start with this problem. Depending on how quickly it goes, we may do another one. We'll see. So we hit train, and we get our instructions on the left. We can code in this editor on the right and do everything. And that's how I did it for a while, because I thought it would be cheating if I did it in an IDE. But then I started doing some Googling, because it just doesn't make sense. There's no code completion. Yeah, I love Codewars. I'm brand new to it. But I'm loving it so far. There's no code completion, there's no helpers, there's no nothing. Like, it's literally, this is what might as well be Notepad++ with no extensions. So what I've done is set up a basic Visual Studio environment to do my coding in originally, and then I'll submit through this, of course. I'm not going to cheat and look up the answers to the problems, but again, I've kind of looked around to see what the honor system sort of demands for Codewars, and it's pretty normal to I mean, obviously, we know as developers, it's extremely normal. When we run into a syntax problem or we run into anything, any kind of problem, we Google it, and usually we end up on Stack Overflow. And that applies here too. The point is not, do you know every line of syntax in your language? Is can you solve the problem? So if I Google the answer to the problem, that's cheating. If I run into a syntax thing where I'm just like, I can't remember exactly how this works, which I'll probably need to do for this one. Because I don't work in the Ascii table very much, but that's how I'm going to look at implementing this. I'll be transparent about what I'm doing in any case. And yeah. Are you familiar with ASP.NET with Azure Active Directory? I am aware of it. I've seen a lot of Layla streams lately. Actually, I'm not sure she's working with Azure Active Directory yet, but I did catch her interview with the identity team from Microsoft, where they implemented Azure Active Directory B2C inside of client-side Blazor. That was awesome. So yes, aware of it, not familiar with it. But I am going to look at implementing it. I might actually do it in the project I'm working on today. I'm not going to be doing it today, but in CoreLMS, I may think about. Yeah, probably not actually. Now that I think about it, because I want CoreLMS to be sort of platform agnostic, so it doesn't really matter where you deploy it. So in that case, I need to stick to basic identity, but I definitely do want to. Yeah, I definitely do want to explore it because I would love to completely offload identity. That would be great. Man, it's like the most complex things ever that should be simple. Yeah, I agree. There's like no ducks. Got Blazor working with Azure Active Directory, not B2C, but I cannot work how to do functional things. Oh, like if a person is part of a certain group to blah. So like my brain just left me. It's authentication versus authorization. Jesus. So yeah, the authorization piece, is that what you run into? So like, is he in this role or in this role group? If so, do X. Yeah, I don't know. It seems like it should be pretty straightforward. Like I would almost assume there was. I would think there's like a basic core like identity. Okay, so what it's going to end up translating to, like in a web app, is you're going to end up with the standard cookies, which you should be able to work with, like as if you were just using basic identity, I would think. Now, I may be completely wrong because I have never done anything with Azure Active Directory, but I would assume that it basically results in the same thing. You have the same set of ASP.NET Core cookies, and you can do things. Let me see if I can find a decent example. Well, okay, so I guess it's depending on how you want to authorize. Actually, I don't have a good example. I don't know, man. Hopefully somebody else pops in that's smarter than I am. But let's see. Azure Active Directory roles in ASP.NET Core. What's the type of application? Are you in ASP.NET Core or something else? Oh, but you said that. Sorry, Blazor app. Yeah, I definitely don't have a clue because I've never done anything with Blazor yet. But yeah, I guess it should be pretty similar. Yeah, that's what you end up doing is iterating over the claims on the user. So the claims are part of the claims principal. That's part of the identity, I think is how that works. So those claims will include things like, does it have it here? I don't guess so. Your claims should include the roles that the person is a part of. And then you can just check your claims to see if they have that particular claim. Yeah, I'll send you this one. There's that. AAD roles in Blazor. WebAssembly, should be the same with WebAssembly or server side. User-defined groups and built-in administrative roles, JSON property groups. Oh, okay. So WebAssembly is going to be different. I suspect because you're going to end up getting JWTs, JSON Web Tokens. But it still should basically end up being same thing. Okay, so that I'll link this one too. Oh, okay, I got you. Can't get Blazor Blossom add app roles to work. So at least you're in good company. Yeah, I'm sorry, man. I haven't messed with Blazor or Azure Active Directory, so I don't know where the thing might be doing the thing wrong. Anyway, yeah. But yeah, that's how it works in ASP.NET Core. But then you have the HTTP context built in, and it does its auto magic stuff to wrap up all those claims and stuff when you're using the native identity features, I guess, that ASP.NET Core includes. So yeah, okay, let's work on this kata. All right, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. We have plenty of space over here. Okay, so this is the last one I worked on. It was kind of fun, actually. It was converting strings to Pig Latin. And I managed to do it in I ended up breaking the line, but it's a single line operation. So, yeah, there you go. Yeah, I do know that much about how ASP.NET identity works, and that's just how they wrap everything up. And I think it's a pretty standard way of doing it. Like, it's compatible with OpenID and all that kind of stuff. So the identity claims, principal claims model should be what you're using. I just don't know how you get access to it necessarily. Anyway, okay. So yeah, this was the last one. Did some Pig Latin-y stuff. That was fun. And I've got, so basically I just mirrored the environment they have here. So we have our class, and we have the tests that are given that we can run against the work that we do. So, so what I'll do is start with this in the kata. There we go. And then start with all of this for my tests. Okay, so pretty simple. It's going to run one test assertion to ensure that this returns as true. That's interesting. So we'll probably add a sample test here. Actually, yeah, let's definitely do that, just to make sure we don't mess something up. We're going to assert art equal, and it'll be false. We want to have a failing case, so a sentence that is not a pangram. Kata.is pangram, not a pangram. Okay, very simple, very straightforward. So now we have a nominal case and an edge case. Well, a failing case, an expected failing case. Now let me make sure, actually, before I do that. Yeah, okay, so pangram is a sentence that contains every single letter of the alphabet at least once. For example, the quick brown fox, blah, 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 is a pangram because it uses the letters A to Z at least once, and case is irrelevant, so we keep that in mind. So given a string, we detect whether or not it's a pangram, return true if it is, false if not. Ignore numbers and punctuation. Okay. Well, that makes sense, obviously, because they're not part of the alphabet. I was just thinking if we need to actually incorporate that or deal with that. Okay, so how are we going to tackle this? The stupid way of doing it would be to go if str.contains it. No, actually, the stupid way of doing it would be if not str.contains. Actually, let's go ahead and just set up correctly. Str lower, str.to lower. Okay, So now we have all lowercase. So now we can say if not str lower dot contains a, return false. And then copy paste, etc., and go B, C, D, E, F. And if we get to the end, return true. Yeah, that would be the really dumb way to do it. We're not going to do it that way. What I instead think I want to do, so we can use the Ascii table. And I've got to figure out how you do that in C#. I've never dealt with the Ascii table in C#, so we'll look that up. And then we can just kind of iterate between the Ascii integer value for lowercase a through lowercase z. If the string does not contain that value, we return false. Otherwise, we return true. It'll be a much cleaner implementation. So, and there's going to be a one-liner for this, and it's going to piss me off that I didn't see it. But I'm just not familiar enough with LINQ, Fluent LINQ especially, to figure it out. That's annoying. Okay, so we need to get the ASCII value for lowercase a, which I'm pretty sure, like I said, and this is the other thing we can do because we have our, actually, it is actually a console application, not just a class library that I'm building, so I can play around with stuff here. So what do I want to do? I want to find out what the ASCII value is for a. I think it's 65. That might be uppercase A. We'll find out. So we do int character a. I think this is how you do it to convert a character to an ASCII value to string. I think that's going to end up writing it right back out. We'll see. Nah, and I'm not going to. 97. Okay, there we go. So that I think is the. Let's just test to be sure. 98. Yep. Okay, perfect. Okay, so 97 is ASCII integer value for a. So we can go. Actually, we didn't even need that. We can do for var I equals int a. I is less than or equal to integer for z I plus plus. Okay, so there we go. Now, I wonder now if we can go in the reverse. Let's see. Let's just stick that there so it doesn't fuss. So let's see if we can go in reverse. What if we do character? Actually, let's do this for 97 dot toString. Will that give me an A back? Yes. Okay. Excellent. So I think we're done very quickly here. If not, can't type. Good Lord have mercy. There we go. There we go. If not, str lower dot contains character. I wonder if yes. Okay, it will work. So we can just do character I. Return false. Otherwise, we return true because everything was found. Okay. So let's run our tests. Hopefully we get 2 green tests. Yep. Awesome. That one was a little simplistic. But I did learn how you can convert from character to ASCII code and back. So that's fun. Okay, so what we do now is we will paste this code into Codewars. Nope, right here. And we'll test it. And this is, I really love this. This is awesome. How this all works and that it works with test-driven development. That's so cool. Okay, so we pass those. We'll attempt it, see if we missed an edge case somewhere. Nope, all passed. Nice. and you can see, yeah, that's it, the strings that it tests against, including ones with weird characters and all kinds of stuff. So no problem. Submit. That one was easy. I've unlocked a new privilege. I have 50 honor now. Oh, I can now mark comments as having spoiler code. Sweet. Cool. All right, that was awesome. Let's see. Do we want to do one more? Square of squares. You like building blocks. You especially like building blocks that are squares, and what you even like more is to arrange them into a square of square building blocks. Okay, so however, sometimes you can't arrange them into a square because you have ordinary rectangles. You end up with a rectangle. You just had the way of to know whether you're currently working in vain. You just have to check if your number of building blocks is a perfect square. Given an integral number, determine if it's a square number. A square number, a perfect square, is an integer that is the square of an integer. -1, 0 is true, 3 is not a perfect square because there's no integer. Okay, yeah, I think we can knock this one out stupid quick. Not even sure I'll need C# for it. Let's see. I mean the Visual Studio for it. I do need to find out how to get square root. I swear, I think it's math. Yeah, .squirt. Yep. All right. So return in math .square root of n okay, so we need modulus here. We need to find out if it's an integer that we end up with. Can we just do mod 1 equals 0? See, got all cocky. 2.3. No, we can't do that. That's not gonna work. No, okay. 1.2 mod 1 equals 0. I think that should not be. That should be false. Yeah. Okay. But 2 mod 1, of course, is 0. Okay. That's yeah. I was on the right track. So is the square root of n mod 1 an integer, basically? I think that should give us. Ooh. Yeah. We'll run it. Let's see. Yep. Cool. All right. So that's 2. I'm gonna quit before I embarrass myself. See, I look cool because I did 2 katas that are like at the easiest end of the spectrum. Yeah. Yep. Got it in 1. Cool. That's an interesting way of solving it. This is fun too. This is what I really like. Oh, I didn't even look at the ones on the last one. Damn. I wonder if I can get back to it. I wanted to see if there was a one-liner on that other one that I did. And this notification needs to go away. Okay. Let me see if I can find the one I just did. Progress I have completed. Oh my god, there was one. That was a 5? Pig Latin was easy. Okay, so the way these queues work, like I said, the higher the number, the easier the problem. Down to 1, and then you go into another path that gets harder again as you go up. 8 is the simplest. 1 is the hardest in this series. There was one of these that was like crazy. Oh, this is it. I wanted to see if there was. I wanted to see the other solutions. Because there has to be. I bet you there's a one-liner on this one, and I just didn't think of it. Yep, string dot where. What? Oh, yeah, that makes perfect sense. Okay, so obviously what they're doing here is they start by selecting out of the string only the letters. Then they select, and I love the select function. It's like the array.map function in JavaScript. But it works on any enumerable as far as I'm aware. So first they select out only the letters, then they convert the letters to lowercase, then they chop it down to the distinct. So it's like an SQL distinct where they get only they get a set of the letters that were contained in the original string. And if the count is 26, because there's 26 letters in the alphabet, it's a pangram. I knew there was going to be a solution like that. And this is what I love. This is where I actually learn more doing this, is how people solve these things in novel ways. And I've already incorporated some of the link select magic that I've picked up from here in the real work project that I'm getting paid to do. That seriously simplified some query logic. So yeah, cool stuff. Okie dokie. I'm going to call it good on the katas for today. That was fun. And I definitely think I'll do this like every stream, just kind of as the warm up. So yeah. Okay. So let's do some real work. Yeah, I didn't even do that one. Yeah, that was much cleaner than this. I'm not sure it's any more efficient to do it with all the link queries. I don't know. Anyway. Okie dokie. So let's close that and open up another Visual Studio. And where is my CoreLMS? I actually submitted an issue on the Microsoft Entity Framework core repository. First time I've interacted with a serious open source project like that. But I actually found, I'm not sure it's a bug, it's just a behavior that's exceptionally annoying, and there's probably a very complicated way of working around it. But I figure maybe they don't know about it, and maybe they want to. Come on. Really? You gotta open it? Seriously? What the hell just happened? Let's try it again. But yeah, either way, so hopefully they'll either give me the answer that I need that solves the problem I have, or it actually is an unexpected behavior and they'll fix it. Because I definitely could not find the answer in all my Googling, and I spent hours and hours Googling and trying things and bleh. Come on. Why? Why does it have to open it directly between the two different size monitors so that I can't actually get there to what I need? Okay. So I have a couple of to-dos that I'll try to knock out real quick. And I hope this still works, actually. Because I'm using Docker, and I finally got the Windows 10 update to the creators update where I can start using WSL2, which means Docker switched to using WSL2, which means I may have broken my project, but hopefully not. Okay, so I have those couple of updates to look at, and where we got last time, we were working on the CourseService. Well, we added sort of a placeholder for logging. We haven't done anything with logging yet. I think we'll get there today. And certainly throw in custom exceptions. And that's the other thing we added. We added our application exceptions so that we can distinguish expected failing behavior from unexpected failing behavior. And then I used that inside. Oh, I did add a log. So yeah, there you go. We use that to implement our get course async method following test-driven development, of course. So we implemented our test first, get course async, should return expected course. We also implemented an edge case, so throw an application exception when an invalid ID is passed, and then got that method done. So yeah, it was interesting. Someone tried to calculate how much Google adds to your worth as a working member of society. There was some tax rule that says you could claim it or something. Anyway, they came up with $19,000. Fair enough. Yeah, there you go. That seems about right. I saw a somewhat similar meme that said, "Why should I pay a developer $100,000 a year if I can just get on Stack Overflow and fix it and do it myself, or if I can just find the answer on Stack Overflow?" And the response was the dollar is for, how would it go? The first dollar is for the ability to type code in. The next 99,000 are 99,999 are knowing what code to get from Stack Overflow, basically. I suck at jokes, man. Jesus. Wow. Oof. Okay. So if Google wasn't free, oh, I see what you're saying, and didn't have ads, they would be charging 19,000. I would pay more than that because I would be very lost without Google. Especially if all we still had was like Ask Jeeves and shit. So yeah, I'm old. Okay. So today I really want to finish up the basic operations on the CourseService. So we have our get a single course, we have our get all courses. Which I may end up changing. And we have a little bit of to-do work to do. So, okay, so on the service, we still need to add adding, updating, and deleting. We have select, CRUD, create, read, update, delete. We have the reads. We need create, update, delete. Okay. Well, I've shown up to a client location and pressed three buttons and then asked for an hour's wage. Yeah, saying goes that only took you 5 minutes. Why should? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're paying for the 10 years that it took for me to get to being able to do it in 5 minutes. Yeah, absolutely. And as a broader rule, I try to avoid charging by the hour anymore for that very reason, because it creates too many weird expectations. You want to do the job in the most efficient way possible, so you're not wasting your time. You also don't want to screw your client over, but you're delivering more value than the time it takes to do it. So what's fair? So yeah, I try to charge by the project now, or on a retainer or something like that, where my hours are variable, and as long as I'm delivering the value that I promise every month, I'm happy, client's happy, everybody's happy. My favorite way to work, if you're working with a company that actually does real sales, is to work on commission. So I get a commission of every single sale for one of my clients, whether I do anything or not. But it's because I built the system that is extremely efficient, requires very little maintenance, and still delivers value for him. So, hello, Shizmo. How are you? Appreciate you popping by. My very first subscriber. How's things going? So, yeah, what are we working on? We're working on this stuff. All right, let's look at these to-dos so I can knock them out. I need to update selects to include missing entities. I need to check authors. Okay, so that's one thing. And I need to update select courses async to return an an iQueryable. I was just looking at that, as a matter of fact. So yeah, we'll start with including missing entities, and then we'll talk about what's going on here. So what I'm talking about here is including, okay, when I started with Entity Framework, it was Entity Framework 4, 5 maybe? Oh, I missed your comment. The wife disagrees with the whole 5 minutes thing. Yeah, I agree. No longer charged by the hour, because if you charge by the hour, you're incentivized to not spend hours developing your product. Yep. Okay, so I started with Entity Framework 4 or 5, ended up on 6 in the super big applications I built for a couple of clients. And lazy loading was built in and enabled by default. That means that if I loaded a course in this case from the database, and I just say courses.first or default async, take this part out. So yeah, if I do like that, it'll give me the course object, and then if I later, after loading it, access the lessons property, the navigation property, on courses, it would hit the database again at that point in the code to automatically fill that navigation property, so I don't have to do anything. I don't have to think about doing extra queries or doing a bunch of joins and stuff in the beginning, stuff like that. It makes it very easy to code, but also horrible for performance. Ish. It depends on what you're doing. If you're trying to load a list of objects and accessing properties that way, you got big problems. Exports were taking like hours on 1,000 loans in that system. It was stupid. In Entity Framework Core, they do have lazy loading available. You have to specifically install a separate package and enable it in your pipeline. But I want to avoid it altogether this time around. And so the way you do, there's like 3 ways you can do it. Lazy loading is one, where navigation properties are filled as soon as you access them. Eager loading is the way we're going to be doing it, and that is that you include everything you want to be included at the time of the query. Now, you can always query for the additional properties later. That's not a problem. You just have to be very aware of what is and is not loaded at any given time. One other issue with Entity Framework Core through so far, basically not 5, is that as a difference to how it used to work in Entity Framework, when you use eager loading, it takes everything you include, all of those what amount to inner joins, and sticks them in one query. So you can end up with what's called the Cartesian explosion problem, where your query ends up so huge that it's shutting down your database because you have so many joins that it's having to deal with on a row-by-row basis. So you have to be very careful with it. In old Entity Framework, pre-core, Entity Framework was smart enough to break it up into multiple queries if it needed to, into split queries that it would then stitch back together. They are reintroducing that as an optional feature in Entity Framework Core 5, which comes out in like 2 months. At least it's supposed to. But for now, we have to be very careful about how much we try to include at any given time. So there's that. Okay. So on courses, I am including the course lessons, and I'm then including the attachments for those lessons. What else do I have on course lessons? I have... This is a stupid way to do it. Let me just look up my course lesson entity. Control-Shift-T. Course lesson. There we go. Okay, so we have course lesson attachments and we have authors. There you go. That's basically it. Those are the only navigation properties that we need to be worried about at this point. So I include the course lessons. I then include the course lesson attachments. Now I also want to include the author information. What? Oh, sorry. Course lessons. So it's kind of weird. I can't just do another dot then include, because that's not going to look back at course lessons. That's going to be off of course lesson attachments. So if I want to include multiple levels or multiple navigation properties from the same include, I just repeat the include, basically. So this will be dot then include, and it, of course, cleans all that up for me, but p dot authors. Okay. And I'll need to do the same thing. And this is the one thing I don't like about how we're doing test-driven development right now. Well, yes, what we've done so far with test-driven development. And that is, in our unit testing, we're mocking the database. So we don't get to play with this kind of behavior. Because we're telling it, if I ask for a course, give this course back, basically. So we're assuming the database is doing exactly what it's supposed to in our real implementation, and we're just testing the logic in between, the business logic. I haven't ever looked at how you do it necessarily, but we will look at implementing either acceptance or integration testing, depending on what you want to call it, where we actually test using the real database and verifying end-to-end that everything does what it's supposed to. So, yeah. Okay, so now on our select course, we include the course lessons, their attachments for those lessons, and we also include the authors. Same thing on select courses async. Perfect. Okay, so that's that to do done. Now, the other thing that I noted here, and I will have to update my tests because they're going to break, is, and I wasn't sure about this when I first saw it as a pattern, because it seemed like it was defeating the purpose of the repository pattern. So returning a queryable from the database instead of the final list. And the problem is, if I want to include where clauses here, basically, if I want to qualify the courses that I pull back. So instead of pulling back every single course in the database, only give me the courses for this author, or only give me the courses of this type, or etc. Well, I can build a bunch of different methods. So select courses by type, select courses by author, select courses by blah. I can use crazy custom predicates to basically replace what ends up becoming the where clause if we had done it by hand, which is the same as just doing it by hand. Or I can have a bunch of optional parameters that ends up blowing up and you end up with a gigantic method signature. That doesn't even do, that won't even do what you want it to. So I don't like the idea anymore of just returning the list. What I want to do instead is just return an iQueryable, of course. Actually, okay, so I did this the wrong way. Let's do it the test-driven way. I think this is the test-driven way. I really wish the Grumpy Game Dev was here because he could tell me. What is that fussing? What? CourseService. Oh, that's why it's fussing. What? I thought I fixed that last time. But our CourseService definitely needs to have a logger. Okay, so we just need to pass in the logger. That's fine. CourseService tests. Can we just do new iLogger of type CourseService? Will that work? No. New logger type CourseService. What? Okay. iLogger CourseService logger. Okay. Okay, we'll just do this. Just to get it to quit fussing. Read only mock of iLogger logger mock. And in here, I'm going to say this dot logger mock equals new mock I logger, and we're going to pass that into there we go. All right, that should make that good. What? Oh. Okay, everything quit fussing. Good. Okay. The test-driven way to do this, get courses async should return expected course list. So we're going to actually change this. It should return expected Queryable. And we're going to say select courses async should actually return an iQueryable of type course. Ooh. How do we mock this? Okay. Need to create a queryable. Okay, I'll be right back, guys. Sorry, my wife needs me for a second. Be right back. I'm back. Sorry about that. Wife doesn't interrupt unless there's something serious going on. So, in this case, it was taxes. Trying to avoid the IRS. So, anyway, sorry about that. I'm back. Let's keep working on this. So, I need to figure out how to turn my course list into a queryable. So iQueryable of course database courses queryable equals new database courses dot to queryable. Damn. I have no idea how to do that. Wish I didn't get disturbed at home, dude. Most annoying thing on the planet. No, like I said, she doesn't bother me unless there's actually a reason. The niece that lives with us, you will probably hear because she has started school this week and she doesn't like it, and she expresses her dislike. loudly. But yeah, that's why I usually actually end up working like 11 p.m. to 4 a.m. It's just quiet. Okay. I need to figure out how to convert a list to a queryable. Actually, I don't know what a queryable. It's a link queryable. Okay, that makes sense. Provides functionality to evaluate queries against a specific data source wherein the type of the data is known. Okay, that's fine. To something. All right, let's do some Googling. I don't know how to do this because, yeah, we're changing the behavior. We're not getting the actual list back. We're getting a queryable that we can then use to get the list of courses back. And we do want to make sure that we're getting the correct thing, the correct list of potential list items. I guess I don't know how to say this. So yeah, I want to make sure I'm doing this the right way. So let's do some Googling. Okay. This is what I was working on last week. All right, give me this. C# list to queryable. There we go. Oh my God, are you fucking kidding me? As queryable. And then we're going to have our database return the database courses queryable. Okay. And it's breaking because the service does not returns async. Oh, it's not going to be what? Wait, hang on. I set up select courses async. Did I already change something? Actually, yeah, this is the part we want to get rid of. And since we're not testing the database, there's not really any point in what happened to my music. Oh. Queryable, queryable course. We basically have to get rid of our async because we're not actually doing anything. We're building a query, but we're not executing the query. That's the issue here. Okay, so that's what our database is actually going to do when we do select courses async. And what we, okay, we'll show you how it works, but okay, I think that was the problem. That's why our test did not want to pass. Just select. See, this is what I don't like, because it's we want our repository to handle this kind of logic for us, to either do things asynchronously or synchronously, to give us an actual list or of results. What we end up doing is, I guess we're still controlling it because we're centralizing the logic as to whether to do synchronous or asynchronous inside the business logic, which is where it should go. Database should just do database things. I am going to change this method signature to be as queryable, just so it's very clear when we use it inside business logic what we're getting back and what we should be getting back. Is your backend SQL or no SQL? It's SQL. This will be SQL Server. At least it'll be designed for it. For the most part, we may incorporate some aspects like a Redis search or an Elasticsearch or a NoSQL table or database or something like that, just for actual document management stuff. But yeah, for now it's going to be SQL Server. I think I'm happy with this so far. It does bother me that we're not completing the database operation inside of the DB context, that we're passing the buck on that down to the business logic. But as long as we write our business logic well and we write exceptionally good testing to verify our business logic, we should be okay. So one thing I will need to do now is go edit appdb context, the interface, make sure it matches. This will be an iQueryable, of course, and it will not be a task. It will just be the iQueryable. And it will be select courses as Queryable. Okay. Don't need to bring in the library for that. For link, no problem. All right, so that's good. Yeah, that's the big problem. Big problem where you cannot really work at. It's like everything I develop must end up on SQL. Oh. And you're like, your approach precludes using SQL since you're using NoSQL. Gotcha. And it's like speaking to a brick. Yeah, I do not miss working in a larger environment. Definitely. I like doing my own thing, and so I am very happy. Now, the problem is it limits, to some degree, my potential for financial growth, because there's only so much time that I can give to serving clients in a given week. And if I want to expand that reach and bring in more revenue, I either have to increase revenue with those clients, which is very hard to do, or hire more developers and find new clients. I'm happy with the money I'm making. Let's put it that way. Definitely not dissatisfied enough to grow the team. Because, and I figured out why, I took the Myers-Briggs test, personality test, a week or two ago, and confirmed what I kind of suspected about myself, and it's that I'm more of an introverted type. Now, that's not shy. That means I'm getting off on some seriously weird tangents here. Basically, what it means in this case is that I like working alone. That working in groups, especially large groups, drains my energy, and it's just not where I'm strongest. So, yeah. Anywho, okay, we've updated our interface. We have updated this method. Our test is going to fail because we don't have this method anymore. So what we need to do is db.select courses as Queryable is very simply going to return, not asynchronously, a database courses Queryable. Now what we can do, so we execute. What? Aha. This is going to give us trouble because we haven't updated the service to use the new method. And it's like speaking to I have to say I disagree with you. I'm also an introvert. But developing my team is your most important function. Hey, you know what? That's absolutely, man. That's the thing. Introversion and extroversion in the Myers-Briggs scale is not about are you shy or do you like talking to people. It's more about how you perceive the world. Do you look within and seek patterns and do better with alone time that you can use to reflect on whatever is going on in your life and your brain? Or do you seek answers outside? Are you energized by outside? Those kinds of things. But Myers-Briggs is just a categorization system. Everybody. So there's the 4 categories. There's introversion and extroversion. There's intuitive versus senses. It's like using your senses to perceive the world. There's thinking versus feeling, and there's judging versus perceiving. Judging versus, yeah, that's right. Anyway, everybody does all four. It does all 16 combinations. It's just a matter of, do you lean one direction or another in these different categories? And every person's different. There's no exact answer for, you are this code, so you work this way. That's just not how it works. I actually find that a lot of the way I work in code actually tends to be opposite to what my categories would tell me for how I live the rest of my life. My interpersonal relationships, those kinds of things, definitely fit the category that I found for myself, but a lot of the way I think about work and do work is completely the opposite. So, I'm just trying to figure out what the hell goes on in my head and why, and it's a good tool to use as a starting point and to identify potential weaknesses, things like that. But yeah, someone in your spot could very well develop 5 other people. The way to think about it would be, what year do you plan to retire? Oh, I'm retiring on cryptocurrencies. I ain't worried about making money out of my business. It's not true. Instead of putting out a 20-year plan on handling off the gauntlet, how about a plan to retire every year and practice retiring every year, but stick around because you're a decent human? That's a good way to look at it, definitely. Hello, Grumpy Game Dev. How are you today, sir? We're getting into psychology and philosophy on team building and all kinds of stuff, so yeah. Yeah. So yeah, you're faffing. Pretty much. So actually, it was fun. I started with some Codewars. Did some code katas, and was very pleased with myself. They were very easy katas, but I at least didn't look like an idiot from the very beginning. And now, yeah, we're into CoreLMS, and I want to wrap up the basic operations on the CourseService today. So I actually had a couple of notes of things that I wanted to look at before I get into adding those new methods. One of which is what we're working on now, and it's having our get courses method return a queryable instead of a list, because I've discovered that completing the queries, especially when you get into complex where clause type situations, gets messy if you're trying to do it all in the repository. So I'm going to experiment at least with just returning a queryable from the repository, and then making sure we keep all of the logic for any querying that we actually do centralized in the business logic. So at least we're protecting it that way, and we're keeping it under test and etc. And then we don't have crazy ass method signatures or multiple methods to get courses by author or get courses by type or etc. So for the most part, what I'm doing so far is I'm trying to update my test and see it fail, and then fix it in my service. It's kind of weird, but anyway. Or passing link expressions. Yeah, exactly. Or passing custom predicates was the other way I could think of to do that. And my original thinking around not doing it the way I'm doing it now is that I wanted all of that logic centralized. I wanted all of the selection logic or predicate logic inside the repository. Because that's one of the benefits of a repository pattern, is that you don't end up with code duplication for the same queries. But it causes its own problems. And if I'm passing in custom predicates, it's really kind of the same thing as just passing a queryable back and doing the query in the business logic. So yeah, that's my thinking anyway. The only thing I've done outside of my test so far is update the repository because it's not under test, and we do need to change the method names and stuff. So I've updated that so it does what it's supposed to do, and so that our interface has the correct method signature. And now I'm working on the tests. So I have updated so far to say that we should get a queryable back, not the list. And now I'm just fixing this signature, which should now be select courses as queryable. Should have been called once, fine. I should be able to do this, and I should actually get a build error. because the service is not going to be calling that method. I think it's going to be a build error. Yeah, build fail. So there we go. So we have a red. That's good. No, don't do that. So now in my course service, I need to change this because it's no longer doing that, and it's no longer asynchronous because we're passing back a queryable, not a query result. I need to change this method to be iQueryable of course and get courses as queryable. And this will be return db. Select courses as queryable. Okay. Need to bring in link, and I need to update my method signature on the interface, which is right here. Courses as queryable. The refactor part is where I'm not sure the proper test-driven way, and I'm sure I'll learn it more thoroughly as I actually read the book. But once we have our passing test, is it okay to just change the code directly, or do we change the test first and then change the code? Trying it this way, we'll see how it works. And I'm sure there's a correct answer, but yeah, either way, we'll get there. Core service tests. Aha, so that's okay, yeah. Subject dot get courses as queryable. So we've updated that. Take that out. And update this. Okay. So we actually can get rid of this. Void. Ooh, wait. Let's leave that. We'll come back to that, because I want to actually make sure that the expected data does come back. So right now our test will pass, I think, but we need to add another assertion. To be absolutely sure. Okay, that was weird. Test Explorer. Okay, it passed. Good. But we do need to, because right now we have no idea what our database actually gave us back. It could be a list of nothing. It gave us a queryable, but that queryable may resolve to nothing. So we need to create a list of course. And we don't need to do that. We'll just do just for the ultimate in clarity. Courses equals this will be actual courses equals actual courses queryable.to list async. There's not an async. Why is there not an async? This is what's going to piss me off. That's what we need, because I want everything to work asynchronously. But that is not available as part of standard link. That's part of, see if it pops up. There are no quick actions. Oh, there's no quick actions because I don't have a reference to my database to Entity Framework, because I shouldn't need one in the business logic. It's all fun and games till somebody calls toList, yeah. Boo. toList async is a feature of Entity Framework, as far as I'm aware. I think it is. If I want my application layer to be entirely dependency inverted. Wait, application layer can't be dependency inverted. Application layer has to talk to database. What am I thinking? Jesus. Okay. So, because what? Ah, no, this is, okay, so here's the problem. We're passing the buck. So now, right now, it's the test that has to be aware of Entity Framework. Now, in the real application, it would be my actual user interface, the actual ASP.NET Core MVC project, that would now have to be aware of Entity Framework if I want to use asynchronous operations. I don't want that. I don't ever want to see database code inside my user interface. So, I think what I'm going to end up doing is reverting all of this. Let me just make sure I'm not missing something stupid. Async. Queryable extensions. System. This is Entity Framework. Yep. Entity Framework Queryable extensions. Yeah. Okay. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to undo all of this. Should return expected course list. Okay. Let's undo. Man, I was so proud of myself. Had logic and reason for why I was doing this. Okay, there's that. But yeah, it's not worth having to add the dependency on Entity Framework Core in the actual project. Gotta head out. No problem, man. Appreciate you being here for as long as you were. Have a good one. Wealth of info. I'm a wealth of something. Most people would say it smells more like bullshit, but I appreciate it, man. That's I do like hearing that. I appreciate it. If I was able to help in some way, I'm very glad of it. Have a good one. Okay, so we need to undo this change, and I guess I'll end up needing the next cleanest solution for me is going to be passing in a custom predicate to build the where clause. And I'll have to do some more research on how that actually works. But okay, so CourseService, appdb context.courses. Need to get the interface back up for appdb context.courses. And hey, cool. Task list courses. Yeah. I guess the other choice technically would be that I could give up on asynchronous operations and just only do a to list. But that means that every time, and this is probably the worst time to do it, every time I ever needed to do a to list, it would be a synchronous operation. So at the worst possible time, when I'm querying over one of the largest sets of data in the system, I would have to do it synchronously. If it even worked, and I don't want that. So, yeah. Okay. Task list course, select courses async. So that should be good now. AppDB context.courses. This should be good again. We're going to run our entire test suite just to be sure. Run them all. I think we're okay now. And we can move on to new stuff. Damn it. What did I miss? CourseService. Oh, I didn't update this. Sorry. Task list of course. Get courses async. And select courses async with an await. There we go. Build it. Okay, we built. Let's run our test again. Everything's green. Good. Okay, so we're good to go on all. Why did that take for damn ever? Get courses async. Return expected course list. What? Why did that take nearly a full second? Oh well. Okay, so let me come back to here and update this. So instead of doing select courses async, actually, yeah, we want to modify that to include or to use custom predicate where clause. Okay, so still on our to-do list. Yeah. Okay, so we're ready to move on to creating. That's going to be our next operation. What do I need? So on our AppDB context, which is right here. Sorry. Okay. We have the method added in the repository part. That's fine. We're going to add it. We're going to save it. We're going to return the entity. Perfect. That's what we want. And again, this is a choice. One way we're basically making create course an atomic action in and of itself. So it will save the changes to the database at that moment. At the moment you call create course async on the repository. We could also pull that out and choose to do the save changes whenever we want in the course of doing stuff. So if we want to add multiple basically add multiple entities to the change tracker and then save changes all at once, so it's more like a true unit of work, we could do that. But I'm gonna leave it like it is for now. I like it like this. We'll keep an eye on performance though as the application grows, or at least how we write things. Is it idempotent? I used to know what that word meant. Idempotent DB operation. Property of certain operations in mathematics and computer science function looking up customer typical idempotency will not cause the database to change. What is idempotency? So makes you look up an important word. Yeah, there you go. And doesn't need to be. No, let's skip that. I don't care about math. Funky word often hooks people. Confusing concept. Okay. From a RESTful service standpoint, for an operation service call to be idempotent, clients can make that same call repeatedly while producing the same result. In other words, making multiple identical requests has the same effect as making a single request. Note that while idempotent operations produce the same result on the server, response itself may not be the same. Put and delete methods are defined to be idempotent. Now that doesn't make sense. Oh wait, post versus put, not put meaning update, I think. So an add should not be idempotent to me. I think, and then tell me if I'm getting this wrong. If I call add, whether I save changes at the moment or not, it should continue to add new copies of that instance. They'll then be given new IDs, and we'll end up with multiple copies of the same object. But if that's what we want, then that's what it should do. Oh, okay. So yeah, unless I put a different unique name constraint. So in my case, I'm letting the database assign the primary key. Yeah, I think it does actually forward to the. I think it does forward to database. I don't think it's Entity Framework that does it. In any case, database handles either Entity Framework or the database handles assigning the primary key on a new object. I don't specify it. That's not part of my logic. I see what you're saying. If there is a unique name constraint or like a unique email constraint on a user, we would want that operation to be idempotent because we wouldn't want to insert two users, even with distinct integer IDs with the same email address. But we'll have different validation to prevent that. It might be a good idea to have it all the way at the database level where it prevents it, but an update operation would be idempotent because as long as we pass the same data, not counting date modified columns, the core data itself would be the same every time, so that could be idempotent. Should be idempotent. I don't know. I think I'm getting the handle on that. Maybe. In any case, I'm okay with the add because for now we are not considering that there is any data that we should prevent being added multiple times at the database level. Yeah. I cannot promise that, but I will at least be more familiar with it and I will think about it. So, okay. Create a course async. Method's good. We need to add the business logic that does it. It'll come up again. Don't worry. Yep. Okay, so we start with the test, of course. So what's our name going to be? It's going to be effect. I swear to God, I do not type this badly. And I paid attention after we talked about it last week. Course. Yes. I really don't type this badly when I'm just thinking about code and not trying to talk through it. I think that's the problem. I think my brain short circuits when I'm trying to talk through what I'm doing. Okay. Wait. No, this is the test. We don't need to pass back the course. It's just going to be a task. Okay, so add course async should return expected. Yeah, being self-conscious makes it worse. And I'm a very self-conscious person by nature anyway. Add course async should return expected course with ID. So it should, we're not going to pass in the ID, but the object we get back should have an ID. Okay, there is our test name. Okay, so given when then. Okay. So close this for now. Okay, so this will be a fun time to play around with the Dynamics object filter and setting it up to do certain things, because in this case we want it to avoid setting the ID or the date created fields. Yeah, those. Course filler. Okay, and I've got to Google how you do the setup part, so let's do that. Dynamics object filler setup. Okay. There we go. That's the part we need right there. Okay. So let's do this and this. Windows pisses me off sometimes. Good as it is in some ways. Ugh. Okay, so we're gonna do course filler dot setup. Setup. Filler, not filer. Okay, and dot on type. No, on property, not all types of string or whatever. So we're gonna say on property. What is it? Okay. That syntax is weird. Function X. Oh, I'm looking at the VB. What in the hell is wrong with me? I don't. Okay. VB should die in a fire. All right. On property. What is it asking for? It is asking for a link expression. How the hell are you supposed to read that crap? Okay, so let's look at documentation. You know what? I shouldn't say that. My father actually was a very accomplished VB writer, and I did some work in VB. And especially in .NET, it really doesn't matter that much because I think it all still goes back to CLR ultimately. I don't really know. With core, how that might have changed, but yeah, there's definitely a lot of VB out there that has to be maintained. And you know what? If that's how you want to write code in VB. Okay, set up for properties. There we go. On property. Yeah, see, I was on the right track there. I don't know why I quit messing with it. Oddities like and also and or else, yeah. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah. All right, so p.id. There we go. And what we then tell it to do is use null. Do that. Because that's what I want it to do. I want it to leave. Goodness, this is annoying. Properties. Yeah, I should be able to just do that, I think. Because it's... Oh, it's an integer. It's not going to let me do a null. Yeah. What? Defines... Okay. Where's... There. Why wouldn't that work? Ignore. That's what I want. Just ignore it. Okay, that's what I need right there. Perfect. So yeah, just don't do anything with them. p.id.ignore get. Hey, ta-da. Okay. And then same thing on, well, actually, no. What's the syntax? Comma. Okay, so just pass multiple lambdas. Okay. P.date created and P dot what? Okay, that's right. Date updated. So that's what we want. We want to ignore those properties when we're filling. Why? Why is it? Type arguments for method on property cannot be inferred from the usage. After you've written enough lambdas, you might be tempted to learn F#. Yeah, you've got me interested. Just looking at your project and some of your code, and especially since I'm going to be doing data science-y stuff to at least some degree. Now, I'm not going to be doing it well, but I'll be doing very basic data science-y stuff. Rather than learning Python to do it, might as well do F#. So I mean, I take it then F# is not your primary language of choice. Is it problematic? I mean, are you enjoying building the game in it, or tell me what you think. I missed something else here. What did I miss? p.filler.setup on property. That should be working fine. Well, I guess let's just start with this, because it did like that at least. I'll just do multiple on properties. On property p.date created. Ignore it. Kind of like it that way. Okay, fine. We'll do it this way. p.date updated. Ignore it. Okay. That should get us where we want to be. So now when we fill our course that we're going to be adding to the database, it should not have set those fields, and we expect that our database will set the fields when it returns the object. Yeah. Actually, it is your language of choice, but it ruins other languages when you find a language you really like. Oh, I see what you're saying. But nobody else really wants to use it on your team. Yeah. Again, benefit of being a lone wolf. Oh, that sounded cheesy. Benefit of being a solo developer. I can choose whatever language or platform I like. So cool. Yeah, I'm gonna definitely play around with F#. Get a feel for it. Really, just because I want to get a handle on functional programming in general. I get some of the basic concepts. But yeah. Yeah, I put the I in team, exactly. I've tried working with people. It's not for me. Okay, so we've got our course filler set up. Okay, so now we can do course expected. No, let's see. New course. Course to add equals filler.create. No. Course filler. Dot create. Good gracious. Okay. So now what I want to do is set up a database course, and it will be a copy of this one from our mapper. Whoop. There we go. From course to add. And now I can say database.course, because this, now we're mocking behavior that the database will be doing for us, ideally. And I need to, again, this is a unit test, not an integration test, so I do need to confirm that I have an override built into save changes that does that for me, which I don't think I do yet, so we'll make sure of that. Okay, so database course.id is going to be 1. Database course.date created. Can you do this? Expected. Nope. Expected. Date updated equals date time dot UTC now. Nope. Like that. I think that works. Okay. Now we need to set up our mock. So this.appdb context. Let's just copy and paste this. The joy of copy pastable code. When we call create course async and we pass in the course to add, we're expecting it to return database course. Done. Okay. So I think our setup is done. Our arranging is done. So now we need to say course actual course equals subject, which is our service, dot add course async. Yeah, add course async. Yeah, already wrote what the method name should be. Okay. We're going to await add course async course to add. Jesus. Okay. And then we're going to assert this stuff. Actual course, yes, should be, it's going to be exactly the same. Except that this is going to be equivalent to database course. Because we do want to make sure that the actual course comes back with the ID. So we make sure that it's equivalent to the database course, not the course to add, because course to add won't have that. And then we verify that create course async was called with course to add exactly once, and that we had no other calls, and we'll be good. Okay, so our test is red right now because we haven't even added the method. So let's go to our course service. Actually, to start with our interface. This will be add course async, and we will take in a course. Okay. All right. That's that. Now we can go to the course service and we can tell it to implement the interface. Stuck it in the wrong order, alphabetical, that's fine. Now our course service test. Rid of this. Too much crap open. Course service test. That should have gone green. No, not green, but gone not squiggly. Okay, but if we run this, we should see a failure. So do you freelance or are you a contractor? How does that work if you care to share? Yeah, so I've tried a variety of ways. What I've ended up with is I'm a contract solo developer, basically. I do it through a company, so it's not really, I'm not a contractor, but I am, with just a couple of clients. I have one big client in the fintech space and one in the learning management system space, which is why I'm developing this. And the two of them take up all my time, basically, and they make me all the money that I want for the moment, so I'm happy. I've had, and occasionally I'll take on the odd freelance type job where it's just like, hey, build me a website for a local law firm or something. Yeah, kind of. That's an interesting way of putting that. I'm almost more like a part-time employee for my two clients, just not with benefits of any kind. But at the same time, I'm free to do whatever I want to. Otherwise, I can schedule my time as I see fit. and we just have our various arrangements. I'm actually on commission with one, so I get a commission of all of his sales, and I'm on, which is good because they're recurring sales typically, and yeah, 1099 miss. I think 1099. I get a 1099 from them, yes. And the other client, I'm just on, actually really a retainer at this point. We've ramped up for the next few months, so I'm on a much bigger retainer, and I'm giving him much more time during those few months. But yeah, kind of like a maintenance contract with one and commission on the other. So, and then just whatever odd stuff I want to take on, or personal projects, things I want to build, odd small clients here and there, stuff like that. So yeah. Okay, so our test should have failed. Better have failed. Yes. Should return add course async should return expected course, because we got a not implemented exception, which is exactly what we want. Okay. Now, minimum code to get the test to pass is this.db.create course async course. Actually, await. Return await. Okay. All right. Oh, it needs to be async. Okay. That should be the minimum code to get the test to pass. Let's verify that. And it passed. Excellent. Okay. Red, green. Very cool. The problem is that this is supposed to be business logic. And right now, there's no logic. There's no validation. There's no... Ship it. Done. There's absolutely no validation. We could be passing anything if our user interface did not successfully prevent any kind of overposting attacks. We could be passing data into our database at this point that we don't want to. So we're definitely missing validation. And this is, I think we're coming to the point now where I have to think about whether to use DTOs or do things some other way. I knew there was going to be a hang up today. Okay, so the way I've done validation in the past is set, let's see if I can even remember how to do it. Required, I think that's all you need. And just add data annotations. Yes. So add system.component. I'll go ahead and add that because I'll need it at some point. I'm assuming that this actually still works in the framework core. I have seen arguments that a POCO object should be a true POCO object and shouldn't have things like data annotations saying what's required, what's not. Instead, you would put those annotations on the DTO, the data transfer object. And that makes sense if you're going to be using the DTOs throughout your UI logic, because then things like auto validation that's built in with ASP.NET Core can use those properties on the DTO to make sure that the model is valid, and et cetera, et cetera. So all your model binding does what it's supposed to do, and then I would technically know once I get to the business logic that it's already been validated. No, I would not. That's still relying on the implementation to do it. I think I want to do the DTO model just because I've never done it before. Yeah, I think I do. Because I do like the concept that my core, aside from potentially adding attributes later to control the data type, so limiting string fields to, like, the name doesn't necessarily need to be a massive text field or something. Like, aside from doing those kinds of attributes at some point, I do like the idea of the entities kind of being naked, and leaving validation to the DTOs and to business logic. Uh, yeah. Yes, keep business logic out of the data store as much as you can. Yeah, that makes sense. Validation rules are, well, there may be validation rules that are at the core level, at the data level that we want to enforce. What we're talking about right now is not that. If I had a rule that said a name can't contain an asterisk, yeah, exactly, as much as you can. I can't even think of a good rule. The main kind of validation we want to do is that we have any required fields. A course has to have a name. I could make that a constraint at the database level, but meh. You might make things required in DB by making them not null. Exactly. Which would again be adding the required field here, which would make it a not null field, assuming Entity Framework Core behaves in the same way that Entity Framework did. Hmm. Yeah, this is just where you start making choices. Do I want to decorate the entities with required fields? Required to me is it should really be database level. If there's data that we are counting on always having when we query, for example, that should be enforced at the data level, at the database level, I think. Is how I would think about that. If there are other business rules, like password formats, as a weird example, database didn't care. Database is going to store the hash anyway, so it doesn't know if it's going to have the rule. So obviously you wouldn't put that kind of rule there. That would be a business logic rule, which you could apply on the DTOs. You could technically, could you? You could build those rules against the entity. No, you couldn't, because what you're storing in the database is a hash. So yeah, logic like password requirements would be, you couldn't do with data annotations anyway. The biggest benefit of using DTOs in this case is that, actually no, it's not even a benefit. I could have protected data, basically, is what it would amount to. I could have protected attributes or columns in the database that are not exposed to the user interface by virtue of being excluded from the DTO. And then I could use AutoMapper to map DTOs over to entities and let the database and the business logic handle whatever it needs to at that point. So, do I use DTOs? Do I leave my actual entities naked and put any kind of requirement attributes or data format attributes or whatever on the DTOs and not the entities? I think the answer is yes and yes. Maybe? Because if I don't put data format attributes, then my database is not going to be optimized. If I leave those on the DTOs and don't specify it on the entities, Yeah, that's a good point. Of course, assuming the normal flow, assuming there wasn't some kind of edge case where I would want to have a course or would want to allow a course without a name. Yeah, a course in the database without a name would be garbage data. And then I cannot think of a single business use case in which I would want to have a course that did not have a name. So as one particular attribute example, I think having the required annotation here is definitely what we want. I wonder how AutoMapper handles annotations. Yes, so created on by virtue of being a non-nullable date time is going to be required. It'll be non-nullable in the database, and it will validate that. I'm almost positive I don't have to put required on that. I may be completely wrong about that. AutoMapper's pretty much dumb. Okay, so it's not going to do the validation against. So I would have to repeat those validations or those annotations in the DTOs. See, that just hurts my brain because we're talking about intentional code duplication when I don't envision that many scenarios when I would actually need it. But if I do it, I have to do it all the way. And I don't know. I may just be too dumb to realize the true value of. Okay, that's a good way of looking at it. It's not duplication. It's separation of concerns. It's putting it in the proper layers. To that end, my thinking would tell me to put DTOs in the application layer. It's because it's not core. This is stuff that will be used at the business layer and below, at the application layer and either below or above, whatever way you look at it. Application layer and UI layer is where the two primary places that I would see using DTOs. The entity object is not the domain object. Yeah, that makes sense. Hello to viewers. I am currently wrestling with proper clean code architecture decisions, and working on filling out our service. So you use 3 layers: persistence, business, and presentation. Okay. Yeah, I split business into core versus application. So core being my interfaces for anything that I use throughout the system, and the entities themselves, and any kind of types that I'll be using throughout the system. I have an options for if there will be at some point. Yeah, that's an interesting way of looking at it. That persistence layer is really just a presentation layer to a data store. The other really cool way I heard of looking at it is thinking of it in terms of brokers and services. So you would have a broker that is, instead of it, you could layer it out however you wanted to, but the broker would be what lives between business logic and data. It's an entirely different paradigm, and I do find it intriguing, but I'm not trying to implement that. But yeah, we're similar. I think I've broken out into core plus application, meaning being business layer, and then persistence. Oh, and I have one other, persistence and presentation layer, parentheses S, potentially multiple presentation layers. I do have another separated layer for infrastructure, anything that talks outside of my application. So any kind of APIs I integrate with, that kind of stuff would go there. And you could argue that persistence could be a part of infrastructure, but it's distinct enough that I wanted it separate. So yeah. All right, let's play with the DTO model. So we're going to add a folder. We're going to call it DTOs. Yeah. And often we wind up with 2 presentation layers, one for Web API, which is for other services. Yeah, exactly. One for showing web content to eyeballs. Yeah, exactly. And that's precisely why I named as I did. Because I have web.mvc, and I may have web.api or something like that later. One day I'm going to get around to actually doing something on the screen, but that day is not today. Oh, this just makes my body hurt thinking of having to replicate and keep up with all of these different things in 2 places. And I do see the value. Okay, I'm going to let that marinate for 1 more minute while I go fix an issue. So the issue that I need to fix is, I'm pretty sure I need to fix, is that in my persistence layer, I need to override. Okay, so that's all fine. I have not overridden yet the code to set the date created, date updated, date deleted fields. Okay, fair enough. So yeah, you start with the database, and then you reverse engineer all of your entities out of the database, which means the DB is the spec for the entities. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, I need to override save changes and save changes async. Technically, I shouldn't have to override save changes since I'm not planning to ever use it, but I probably will just because. And I'm going to cheat and open up another application. No, it's not open. So I can grab the code that I've already used to do this. I found an issue with soft deletes, actually, at least the way that it's commonly described in terms of how to do it. And I've actually created an issue on the Entity Framework core repository on GitHub to ask for some clarification there, because it's an ugly issue. We'll talk about what that issue is, maybe. It's not really relevant yet here, but right now I just need the override code for these methods. And there's no point writing it again. Persistence, there we go. Got some work to do. Okay. So save changes async. There we go. Aha. This is what I need. This is part of what I need. So this is one thing. Actually, let me just copy this whole thing. All right. I'll close this up for now. And yeah, I kind of feel like I want to get into the acceptance testing part of this, because it's really bothering me that we're not actually testing how our true database works. We're testing what how we expect it to work. And that's not good. This doesn't, what the hell? Oh, okay, so this is all for, I don't need any of this because I'm not going to be adding audit stuff for now. I can get rid of that function call because I'm just going to do it all in this same loop. Okay, so we're going through the entities. If okay. What? I gotta change some of this code because I did it differently in the other one. Okay. If entity.state equals entity.state.deleted, then we're gonna do some of this stuff. Okay, that's it. Actually, that's all we really need. Entry, what? What is it? Oh. Yes, and then what I did with, I don't think I have a separate is deleted field anymore. I think that's the argument we had very early on. Not argument, the discussion that we had very early on. auditable entity, yes, just has a date delete, an optional date deleted field. Okay, so that's correct. So in the date context, we're going to set the date deleted field to datetime.utc now if the entity state is deleted, and we're going to update it to modified. Now I need to fix this code. And all of this is only going to apply in our new if, in our new condition. We want to make sure that the type of damn, I gotta open another project because I can't remember how you check to see whether an object implements an interface, but I have an example of it again. So open that up. Have to make a scripted video for how to play the game you're making because it has a high learning curve even in its early state. Yeah, it looked fairly complicated. I'll say that. No, I mean not excessively so, but it's certainly not a trivial thing. It reminded me of old MUDs that I played, still occasionally pop into just to see how things go, but they added sailing systems and Ascii world map overviews and stuff. It was really cool. Yeah, actually, I want to get in. I want to see your game in action. Give it a play. Okay, so right here is where I have the code that I needed, which is, there we go. That's what I need. If type of, and this is going to be auditable entity is assignable from entity.get type. Okay, this makes sure that we're only dealing with auditable entities. So auditable entities are the ones that will have date created, date updated, date deleted, and they are expected to be soft deletable. So this is fine. We'll just do the same thing. Entity.current values at date created. I think this will all work like we want it to. And then same thing here, because we will always, anytime we make a change, we're going to consider it to be updated. And there we go. Okay. So that overrides our save changes async method so that we're going to go through all the entities. We're not going to get a specific list. Think that'll work? Yeah. That should work. I'm going to make a note to verify that. Okay. I think I can just go through all of those because I don't think it would be tracking. Actually, our change tracker might be tracking entities that have not actually been updated, so we do want to check to make sure that we're only accessing those. Or x.state. So only if they actually been added, modified, or deleted is what we're saying here. It doesn't like. Yeah. Clean all that up. Entities. Okay. So now, yes, we're only talking to, or we're only checking entities that have been added, modified, or deleted. Okay, fine. We always set date created for added. We always set it to modified and set the date deleted value for deleted. And for anything that has been modified in any way, we set date updated. Perfect. Just so that we don't have weird inconsistencies, because these should all be exactly the same. Even if there's a 0.001 second delay or difference between these checks. Anyway, okay, just for cleanliness. Okay, so that should take care of that. I guess I could do the same thing for, again, for integer save changes. Okay, there we go. And then we'll do the same thing. Speaking of code duplication. Handle auditable entities. We're going to do all that code here. We're going to call handle auditable entities. Same thing here. Okay. Yeah. All right, I'm happy with that. Dislike video editing because it takes a long time, unlike streaming, which has 0 edits, which is what appeals to me. Yeah, I actually enjoy video editing for the most part when it's not just mind-numbingly boring, same crap over and over and over and over and over again. It's something about it appeals to me. I enjoy doing it. But yeah. Okay, so we have now updated our database so that we will always have date created and date updated. Oh, I'm gonna be in trouble. Just got a text from my wife. Okay. Anyway, oh, marital woes. Anyway, I forgot to put gas in the car, and so she had to get it, and she was not expecting to be seen in public today. Let's just say that. Yeah. Just apologize. That's the answer. Okay. I'm in the doghouse. All right. Database is now behaving like we want it to. That's the point. Close this. I think I'm going to call it a day and do some actual research on the DTO pattern. Get a better feel for how it works and what the real benefits are to me. Because I don't want to just do something because I've never done it. There might be a reason I've never done it. The reason I've never done it is because I don't know what the hell it is. There might be a reason not to for the way I like to approach application development. But I do need to look, if I'm not going to use the DTO model, at what are the best practices for ingesting data from the user, validating it properly at the business logic layer and or the data layer, and going from there. So the first time to do something is not in a project you intend to do anything real with. Yeah, that's a good point. What I do want to avoid is how I, and this may be the this may be the answer I'm looking for here. I couldn't figure out how AutoMapper worked 5 years ago when I started building ASP.NET Core, no, ASP.NET MVC applications. And so when but I did know better than to just obviously pass an object that came directly from the user interface directly into the database. I knew that was not okay. So what I ended up having to do was property by property build new objects, basically, and only allow or only manually map the properties that or only map properties in ways that I expected them to be mapped, basically. I didn't use AutoMapper, I didn't do anything like that. So it created a whole bunch of code overhead that I think I can avoid. I just need to look at how to do it the proper way. So what we have done today, first of all, we got some code katas done on Codewars. That was fun. I think I'm going to do that to kick off every stream at this point. Just do 1 or 2. Kind of warm up the brain, and it's fun. You get points and all that stuff. The other thing we did was we cleaned up our includes here. I had left out the authors on course lessons. And that's something we always, whenever I pull a course from the database, I want to make sure I get the author data. And I'm not using lazy loading anymore, so I have to be explicit about that. So it's just kind of a mindset shift. So I did that. And then we have at least added the nominal case for our add course. The next step is going to be to decide what logic needs to happen here in the business logic versus being enforced either by the DTO or by the entities. So we'll come back to that and work on that next week. Didn't get quite as far as I wanted to today. I wanted to finish out this CourseService and the basic operations, but it's been good discussion, I think, and good thinking for me. So yeah. Okay, before we go, and I don't know who else here besides Grumpy Game Dev, I think I'm ready to go ahead and say this. A good friend created a Discord for, not for me, for us, for our little community that will be growing, hopefully, over time. So if you want another Discord to come hang out in, right now it's just a few of us in various industries. We have electrical engineers and proper I'm going to get in trouble. I hope nobody saw that. Not proper software developers, primarily software developers, let's say. Like you need another Discord. Yeah. Nobody should ever feel pressured to join, but if you just want one to come hang out in and have some fun, let me grab the thingy. And this, I don't know how to get a permanent Discord link. I almost invited you to the wrong Discord. Invite people. Nope. I need, where's the link? Invite people. Hit, and there we go. Okay. Oh, that's cool. Discord is very smart. If you want to join the Discord and come hang out with our very small group of people right now, there's the link. You are welcome to. Certainly don't feel pressured to. You don't have to. Just thought I'd start throwing it out there because we're starting to get a few people who hang out and help out, and yeah, always fun to build a community. So in any case, I'm going to call it a day. I looked less like an idiot, I think, this time. I I looked so stupid on Friday, I actually had to create another video about solving the problems that I ran into on Saturday. So I'm learning what things I can attempt to do without preparing ahead of time and what things I can't. I don't know how I said that. Now I'm looking more like an idiot. I'm just going to call it a day. Appreciate you guys hanging out. Grumpy Game Dev, as always, you are a scholar and a gentleman. Thank you for talking through these things with me as I attempt to become a better developer after 15 years. We won't talk about that. In any case, you guys have a great day. I will be back on a Friday for more Code Wars and for, I think, more blockchaining stuff and TwitchBot stuff, because I'm on a good track. I have to see if I can get some of the Dragon Chain SDK stuff done, because I don't want to work on that on stream because it's boring as hell. I need to make sure that what I want to do on Friday can be done with the SDK in the state that it's in. And if not, if I can get it fixed before then. So we'll be doing something on Friday. It may just be a whole bunch of Code Wars. Have a great day. We will see y'all next time. Thanks.